Hello everyone, it's Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. Welcome to my channel. If you're here for the first time, I hope you will consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button. On my channel, I love to bring you the best tips and tools for creating beautiful home decor on a budget. So today, I am very excited to bring you my first Christmas DIYs for this year. Now, some of you might feel like it's a little too soon for Christmas crafting, but let me explain. Christmas craft items are in the stores now, so I want to bring you some DIY inspiration so that if there is something that you want to recreate, you can still find the items in the stores like Hobby Lobby, Michael's, and of course Dollar Tree to recreate those DIYs. So that's reason number one. The second reason is that I do a craft show at the end of November and I need to start getting ready for that. So not all of these DIYs are things that I will make for the craft show, but I will tell you as we go along. I know for sure there's at least one, possibly two of the DIYs in this video that I will be creating in multiples for my craft show. So with all that being said, grab something cozy to drink and get ready for my first Christmas DIY video of 2020. I am very excited today to bring you these 4 Christmas Farmhouse Decor DIYs. Let's get started with project number 1. I'm using 2 of these triangle shelves from Dollar Tree, some wooden blocks, the Joy and Peace ornaments, some scrapbook paper, some Mod Podge, some florals, and some paint. So these are pretty easy to separate the, I'll call it the frame, the triangle sides, from the back of the sign. Just push it out a little bit and then you'll see where the gap is. Take your utility knife and just score it, run it against there until you're able to easily separate the two. You can just scrape away or pull away any extra little paper. And then I did sand the edges of my triangles a little bit to get it flat. Now I'm going to take some scrapbook paper. Here I'm using a red and black like buffalo check gingham on this one, just applying some matte finish Mod Podge to the back of my triangle. And then I am, like I did in my previous video, going to spritz some water on the front and back of the scrapbook paper. This is the best finish I've ever gotten with Mod Podge. So spray it. It really does help you be able to get out all the air bubbles. You do need to let it sit. I did let these stay overnight before I moved on to the next step with these to remove the excess paper. And yes, I know I could have cut that paper smaller to not waste so much. So I apologize. I did that to both triangles. And then while I was drying, I decided I wanted the sides both on the outside and the inside of my triangles to be a little bit darker. So if you've watched any of my videos, you know I love this antique wax. You just brush it on and look how much darker it made the sides. So I did that as well to both of the triangle frames. Once these were dry, the scrapbook paper is very easy to just cut away the excess by flipping over the triangle. And I just love this. There's absolutely no bubbles in the Mod Podge finish and it just looks awesome. So this one's a white shiplap and then the red and black gingham. Next, I'm just going to take some blocks. I got this whole big bag of building blocks from a thrift store. You'll be seeing more of these in an upcoming DIY. I decided I wanted to use these for the trunks for these trees that I'm making. So one of the trees will just have 1 block and then the other tree will be a little bit taller with a 2-block trunk. Here I'm just taking my hot glue and now I am reattaching the triangle frame to my sign. that now has a beautiful scrapbook paper background. And here just gluing 2 of the blocks together to make a slightly taller trunk for one of my trees. I had these Joy and Peace ornaments left over from last year. I have already seen them out, so I know you'll be able to find them this year. I decided just to put a little bit of hot glue and have it be kind of a 3-dimensional decoration on this Christmas tree. So one obviously says peace, the other one says joy, and you are able to attach it right there at the bottom of the triangle. It already comes with the greenery and little pine cones attached to it. For the stars, for the tops of my trees, I got this package from Hobby Lobby. These are probably 3.5, maybe 3 inch, 2.5 inch, 3 inch stars. Again, using my antique wax, brushing it on, and then rubbing off the excess. Really shows you the wood grain, and I think just really looks nice for this rustic Christmas tree. Just using a little bit more hot glue, I'm attaching that at the top of my triangle. And the last step for completing our Christmas trees is just to hot glue the block trunk onto the bottom of each of our trees. 1 block for peace and 2 blocks for joy. I love making these triangle shelves into Christmas trees. There's so many different ways you can do it. I probably will be making some of these to sell in my craft show. And here's what they look like just sitting next to each other on the shelf. For this next one, I'm using some of the tumbling tower blocks, some 5x7 canvas boards, some ribbon, some paint, wood glue, and one of my stencils from a maker's studio. So here first I'm taking the natural colored tumbling tower blocks. They're just cut a little with sharper edges, and I'm going to take 2 at a time and glue them together end to end. You can see I'm going to do this 8 times to make 2 signs. So you can see I'm making a rectangle. They will be made into a rectangle eventually, but here just taking 8 blocks and gluing 2 of them together in pairs, and then doing the same thing with my other set of 8 tumbling tower blocks. Now with the canvas boards, while the tumbling tower blocks are drying, you get 2 of these 5x7 canvas boards. So they don't have the wood frame in them, they're just on a hard board. And what I'm going to do is at the 3.5 mark on the 7-inch side is I'm going to cut these in half. That means for $1 I will get 4 of these smaller canvas boards. It did take a little bit of scoring and then cutting in the space there until I was able to get them apart. Once they are apart, you can just sand that cut edge a little bit to get any of the frayed edges off. Now I decided for these boards, they did have some marks on them, so instead of leaving them white, I did decide to give them a coat of my crimson Waverly chalk paint. So these sign ornaments will have a red background. So you don't need to see me paint, I just give both of these boards a good coat. Now that my pairs of tumbling tower blocks are dry, I am going to again use my antique wax just to darken up this wood grain on these signs that I'm making. So you just brush it on and then again wipe off the excess with paper towel. You'll notice that some of these had a spot where the wood glue seeped through, so I did just go ahead and antique wax the other side of it. I do end up waxing all of the sides of these tumbling tower blocks, and then I just decide which side to use. You can also sand them down a little bit more to kind of blend that in once they are completely dry. Moving back to my canvas boards, here I'm using a couple of my Christmas stencils from a maker studio and my gel art ink. I will leave the links for these in the description box below. These are absolutely the best stencils I have ever used. They are adhesive, and then this paint, whether you use the chalk art or this gel art ink or the ceramic paint, you use such a small amount because of the mesh stencil. It's awesome. So enough of the commercial. You peel this off and you have a beautiful, perfect image. I'm going to use two different ones. Here on this Merry Christmas, even though it has this gorgeous wreath, I'm just going to use the wording. And then once those are dry, I am sealing them with the Amy Howard at Home matte sealer, just to give this a nice finish over the top. Here you can see those tumbling tower block frames completely glued together, and I'm just running a bead of hot glue on the back, and then I will glue it to the front of the canvas board, making sure to center my image in the center of the rectangle. Now these are looking super cute already, but to finish them off, I took some of this black and white gingham ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just making a little loop, and then I'm going to hot glue that loop to the back of my canvas board. Now that's looking pretty ugly, so I cut a piece of cardstock 3 3/4 by 5.5 inches, and I'm just going to now hot glue that to the back just to cover up the back of the board and where the ribbon is glued on, and just give it a nice finished look. Then the last thing I'm going to do is take some little pieces of some holiday greenery, hot glue that at the top, and then add a few little red berries as well. I feel like these are so cute, and you can make these very unique based on stencils. If you don't have stencils, you can write with a paint marker. You can use stickers and Mod Podge them on. You can use sticker letters to spell whatever you would like. If you have a Cricut or a Silhouette or some sort of machine like that, you can just modify these however you want. So this is another item I'm going to try to make multiples of and sell in my craft show. And here's what the two I made look like finished up. I just love that I made these using Dollar Tree items. My third project is using a pizza pan, some number stickers, some spray paint, a paint marker, and this piece of wood. And first thing I'm going to do is give this a good coat of this Ultra Cover Ultra White spray paint. Next, I found the words Days Until Christmas and printed them out, scribbled some pencil on the back, and it's basically like making your own carbon paper. And then I'm going to trace over it on top of the pizza sheet, and the words will transfer. You'll notice I did not center the saying in the pizza pan. I did the days until a little bit higher, and then I pulled down the paper so that Christmas was a little bit lower. I want to leave some space in the center of the pan for where the wood will attach with the magnet. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So now I can just trace over my pencil words using one of my Elmer's paint markers. I get these at Walmart in the craft section. I love them. They're awesome. This one is a medium tip. and I just, like I said, trace over it, and you don't have to have perfect handwriting. You can just use any image that you find searching on Google Images and then print it out using Word or another program like that. So I have days until Christmas with my red marker, and then using these number stickers. I found mine at a local dollar store. You can find them at Hobby Lobby for sure. I'm only going to use numbers 1 through 24 because on December 1st, it's 24 days until Christmas. So at 3 o'clock, you're going to put the number 6, at 6 o'clock, the number 12, at 9 o'clock, the number 18, and at 12 o'clock, the number 24. Some of these were sticking, and I was having a little trouble getting them off, but eventually we got there. Then between the 24 and the 6, you're going to place the 3. Between the 6 and 12, you'll place the 9. Between the 12 and 18, you'll place the 15, and then the 21. And then go ahead and fill in the rest of the numbers, spacing them out as evenly as you can. Now, I have these little magnetic discs. They're adhesive and they're really thin magnets. And this little stick of wood that I cut and then painted. I'm going to attach the magnet to the piece of wood with a little dab of hot glue on top of that adhesive. And then once this magnet is on here, you or your child can turn that dial to however many days are left until Christmas. It's like a little clock with one hand. So cute. Now, I had to do something with the back to make this a multi-use item. So on the back of the pizza pan, I gave it a couple good coats of black acrylic paint and some Mod Podge you can see is still drying there. And then once that's dry, almost dry, I am attaching a little jute twine hanger, and then I'm going to take my nautical rope and go all the way around the little edge there around the pizza pan. So my idea for this is during the rest of the year, you can hang this and use it as a little magnetic memo board with some magnets. You can hang it up, and then when it is getting to December, you flip it around to the days until Christmas. So here's the front, and here's the back, the magnet board. Love it. All right, speaking of multi-use items, in my last video I made a little crate that was used for fall and Christmas time. I have 2 of these trucks, and my idea was to make a 3-dimensional standing truck for Christmas trees. First, I'm going to take my utility knife and score until I'm able to remove the pumpkins. I'm also going to use 2 of the mini crates from either Michael's or Dollar Tree to create this truck. So here's the one that I just removed the pumpkins from. I took a second one and very carefully, by using a hot blow dryer, I was able to remove all the 3D pieces from a second truck so that I can flip the truck over, attach those items, and have the other side of the truck. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, keep watching and you'll see what I mean, so that I can have a truck that has the 3-dimensional pieces on the outside of both sides. So see how my normal truck faces left, this one is facing right. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the hanging hole with some wood filler, and then once that is dry, we'll sand it and be able to get on with painting our trucks. So like I said, my original idea was for a red truck for Christmas. So I am going to paint this truck that has all the pieces still glued on as they were before, just doesn't have the pumpkins, with this crimson Waverly chalk paint. I'm going to paint everything except for the railings there for the bed of the truck and also the tires and hubcaps. So everything else is red. Now, with my other one that I'm using the pieces on the other side, I decided to make it for fall for a pumpkin truck. So I'm again using this Martha Stewart Lagoon. I just love this teal color. Like I said before, it's a lot like the Waverly paint Agave, and I'm going to paint everything except for the tires and the hubcaps. For the hubcaps, I'm using Waverly Silver Lining. It's really just kind of a light gray. I don't think it really has any sparkle to it. It's just a lighter gray than mineral, and painting all of the hubcaps, 2 for the red truck and 2 for the blue truck. Next, I'm going to take some black paint and paint where the tires will go. On the blue truck, it's easy because I just kind of do a general shape that will be covered up by the blue pieces, and with the hubcap in the center. So my red truck is done, and now I just need to glue these pieces onto the blue truck. You'll notice that I used the antique wax for the railings for the bed of the truck. I did that on both trucks. So here's both trucks so far, and now moving on to my crates. I'm not going to show a whole lot of this. I am just using the antique wax again, all on the outside and the inside, bottom, everywhere of these crates. Now you see these cutouts here. I didn't want those to be open like that, so I'm just taking a small piece of black cardstock again, and I'm hot gluing that behind the door so that will just show up black rather than being able to see whatever's on the inside of the truck. And now that that's dry, I will flip over my trucks, and just to make it look a little more finished, I'm going to paint the entire back side of both of my trucks with acrylic black paint. This will help blend in that black paper and just give it a more uniform look. Now, I was going to use the little pictures from the back of another calendar. Instead, I decided to just look on Google Images for farm fresh Christmas trees and farm fresh pumpkins. I found some free images and just sized them down 2 inches square to fit on my trucks. So I'm going to try to attach the document in the description box below. If I'm not able to and you would like these emailed to you, go ahead and also leave your email address in the comments. But I just Mod Podged those on, and then actually gave the entire front of both trucks a good layer of matte finish Mod Podge. My last step here is just to take a little bit more of the silver lining chalk paint and just lightly kind of give some shading to where those 3D parts of the truck are. I'll also do this on the hood of the truck and along the top of the truck and the windshield, just to give our truck a little bit more dimension and make it look not so flat. Once I've shaded both trucks, now it's time to put our truck together. Here you can see I'm taking one of the mini crates. It fits perfectly. It's the same length as the bed of the truck. So I'm just running some hot glue on the side and attaching it there right where the railing of the truck sign is, so that it's going to now be the bed of this truck. Taking the other crate, you can see I'm turning it upside down and I'm lining it up right at the bottom edge there of the driver's window. Also gluing where the two crates will touch each other. So it's not a completely realistic looking truck for the cab, but I just love how this turns out. Then I'm going to glue the blue truck to the other side and then show you here our two-sided stand-up truck that you can put whatever you want in the back of it. So here's what my truck looks like with Christmas trees in the back and here with some mini pumpkins. I just love how this turned out. Here again is another look at the 4 projects in today's video. Please let me know in the comments which of these you loved the best and which ones you think you'll make. Thanks again for joining me on my channel. Again, if you are not yet subscribed, I hope you'll consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up.